What's up, YouTube? Special shout out to the subscribers here on the channel as usual. Appreciate the support. Welcome back to another weekly video where I'm here to talk through all of the training I'm doing week by week, getting ready for Ironman Texas. Ironman Texas is now only 3 weeks away. There are 3 more weeks of training to get through before race day. That means there are 17 weeks of training in the rearview mirror, and I really feel great about it. I am hanging in there. I'm completing the workouts, especially those big key workouts. I've been able to get all of them done across the last 17 weeks, and all of that has led to me feeling really excited, fit, and ready to go. I am thrilled to be this far along in the training with only 3 weeks more to go. It really feels good. So today I'm going to talk about how last week's training went. We're going to take a look at the training on my plan coming up for this coming week. And then I also wanted to touch briefly on the body scan that I had done last week. So I mentioned this briefly last week, and I went and visited my nutritionist who I have been working with for a number of years. The last time I had a body scan done, so it's called like a DEXA scan, and it gives you a breakdown of like your BMI, like how much fat you have on your body, how much muscle mass you have on your body, all this kind of interesting biological information. Now, the last time I had a scan done was all the way back in 2022 when I was getting ready for Ironman Florida. Now, I started working with the nutritionist back in 2022 because I was losing too much weight. Normal, healthy, version of me is around, I'd say about 178, 185 pounds, somewhere in that vicinity. Now, back in 2022, I was getting too thin. Like, I was cannibalizing my own body by doing this training, getting ready for Ironman Florida. I think I have a picture here I pulled up. So this is me right before the race at Ironman Florida. It might just look like a normal photo, but to me, it's really shocking to see just the shape of my body. I mean, you can see this vein on my arm. I think I have another photo here during the race that was just like really wild to me to see just how sort of thin I was at that point. Yeah, here I am right over. Oh my goodness, where are those photos? Right over here. Yeah, man, like that's just, I mean, you just see all the veins, you can see all my like ligaments. Like, I was about 160 pounds the last time that I had a scan done. So I was really curious to see, what my body composition was looking like, here in the last few weeks, getting ready for this coming up race, Ironman Texas. The results were kind of shocking. I weighed in around 186 pounds. So right off the bat, I'm 26 pounds heavier than I was before Ironman Florida. Now, that might sound alarming, like 26 more pounds of weight to carry across 140.6 miles, but that's not really the way I'm looking at it. So the breakdown of that extra weight, about 8 pounds of it is muscle mass. So I've put on 8 pounds of muscle since that time, which is fantastic. I'm really happy with that, and I have been doing a lot of strength training, as I've mentioned here, so I'm actually pretty happy about that 8 pounds. But that means that the other 18 pounds is straight body fat. So I've put on like 18 pounds of body fat and 8 pounds of muscle in that time. And when I first heard that, I wasn't really sure. I was like, oh my gosh, like that seems like a lot. But talking to Dr. Roxanne, talking to her a little bit about what the numbers meant, I really started to look at it a different way. She explained to me that back in 2022, I was really, really, really on the edge of being too thin. Like, I did not have enough body fat to be considered healthy at that point. Now I have an extra 8-ish pounds of body fat that I'm working with currently. But I actually feel really great. Like, I feel good on my bike rides. I feel good on my runs. I might feel a little bit heavier when I'm swimming. Like, that's probably the only place I really feel just a little bit sluggish, maybe, is in the water. But ultimately, I'm really pretty happy. Like, 26 pounds, again, it sounds like a lot, but I feel so good. And I do think that, based on my performance at Ironman Florida, which, I'm very proud, I finished the race, but I was really in survival mode for the last like 5 hours of it. Like I was not feeling great. I was not on top of my paces. Like I was just sort of, again, surviving that race. I'm really curious to see going into Ironman Texas with this, extra muscle mass, extra body fat. I think that it might help sustain me and get me through the day. So really, like I said, 26 pounds up. Yeah, most of it is body fat, but I got 8 more pounds of muscle to work with, and I have more body to work with, and how it goes, we'll have to find out. The other thing about that scan that was kind of interesting, and I don't fully understand this, there is a metric called the cellular phase angle, and it's like a number. It's usually like a single digit number. Long story short, my phase angle number was much, much higher this time around compared to 2022. According to the nutritionist, the indicator being that phase angle that I have right now is exceptional. The type of phase angle that you'd find in an elite athlete. And she said that basically if she had to look at both reports, like 2022 report for my scan and 2024 or 25, like if she didn't know me and just was like, okay, which one of these athletes is going to have a better day at an Ironman, she would pick the one with the higher cellular phase angle. So again, I'm not going to try to pretend like I know what cellular phase angle really means. It's just interesting to me that that number was so much higher now compared to how I was in 2022. So I think I'm on the right track. Here. So that all out of the way, let's dive into how last week's training went. All right, here we go. So last week, I started out on Monday. I had an easy swim. I had an easy run. The way that I felt on Monday during the swim and the run was just, I don't want to say terrible, but I was really, really tired. I was fatigued. I think my pace in the water was, 211 per 100 for 30 minutes of swimming. Like that is probably one of the lowest average paces I've done for freestyle. And it's not like I was trying to go easy. I mean, this was me just getting in the water and trying to swim like I normally do. And then onto the run, I think I ran about 9:30 per mile, so about more than a minute off my usual pace. At that point, I decided to talk to my coach. I had a really big training day on the Tuesday after that. And I said, hey, look, I'm super fatigued. I completed the long training this weekend. What do you think about, sort of taking some of this training off or reducing some of it? And my coach ended up just agreeing with, hey, take a rest day. Like he felt that, listening to my concern about being fatigued, it didn't take more than a few minutes for him to say, hey, look, just take a rest day tomorrow. So I did. On Tuesday, I didn't do anything. On Tuesday. I did not get my heart rate up. I did not do any strength training. I didn't do any foam rolling. I just seriously just chilled out. I slept in. I did some chores around the house and, really just stayed off my feet. So I think that was really helpful, not just physically, but also just mentally. Like, I don't think I had a rest day in I don't think I ever had one in the last 17 weeks, to be honest. Like I could scroll back here and look, but I've been working really hard for many weeks, months now. And I think it was really great that I, had the courage to sort of go to my coach because I didn't really want to. I was a little nervous about saying, hey, like waving a white flag, like, hey, that's too much. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work out today, but he was super supportive of it. And I think it was the right call. On Wednesday, similar to Monday's training, I had a swim and a run to do. And the difference that day of rest made was phenomenal. I mean, my average pace in the pool, 143 on Wednesday, much better than the pace on Monday. And then on the run, I went out and did 7:30 average. I had 2 miles at half marathon pace. And honestly, the first one I did at like 7:01, felt pretty good. Second one was 6:48. And at that point, I was almost having to hold back a little bit. So I really felt like I bounced back after that day off, and I'm really glad that I asked for it. On Tuesday, went out and did a hour 15 easy ride on the bike, and then I had a 40-minute easy run after that. On Friday, I went and did a pool swim. I swam about 3,700 yards. I couldn't really make it to the lake on that day for open water swimming. Didn't want to go by myself either. So I went to the pool, got that nice hour 5-minute swim done. Another easy run after that. So 2 days in a row running pretty easy. Into Saturday's run, which was definitely going to be more challenging. Saturday's run said run at half marathon to marathon pace. That's much faster than I've been running at getting ready for, Ironman Texas. I'm not trying to run anywhere near my half marathon pace, which is about 6:42 to 6:58 in that range. So this run was pretty challenging because it wasn't really an interval run. It was try to basically settle into that faster pace and just hold it for an hour and 45 minutes. I'm pretty happy with how it went. I gave myself some time. I did about 20 minutes of easy running as kind of like a warm-up, and then I slowly eased into it. Right about the 40-minute mark is where I was getting into that lower 7-minute pace effort. That's what I kind of decided to shoot for. The workout said half marathon to marathon. So I decided, looking at my pace ranges, somewhere around 7:10 to 7:15 or so would be sort of the slowest that would be acceptable. So that's actually what I went for. Honestly, I was a little intimidated by trying to run, for more than an hour at that pace. So if we look at how the last hour or so the run went, I averaged 7:17 per mile for about an hour for that last hour. And I honestly can't think of the last time I've run a pace like that for more than a mile. Usually when I'm doing intervals the last 20 weeks or so, anytime I'm running those paces, it's for 1 mile. Or 4 by 1 mile, that kind of thing, or 8-minute interval. So that I think that helps maybe paint a picture as to why I was nervous about this run. I'm like, okay, so normally I do this pace for about a mile. I'm gonna go try to run it for an hour straight. In theory, I should be able to do it, right? Because it's my half marathon pace. I should be able to knock that out. Anyway, all that being said, it was tough, but I did it. It was challenging, but I did it. I really, gave myself a little bit of wiggle room. Like I said, I took time to warm up into the pace, and that run ended up going pretty well. I'm happy with how that went. Now, the next day, yesterday, I had my typical long training day. However, the ride on this one was only 3 hours. I love that I'm at this point in training where I can say only 3-hour bike ride, because when you're coming off of 5 weeks in a row of 80 plus miles, 4.5, 5-hour rides all the time, a 3-hour ride just seems like a treat, right? It's just let's go. That'll be easy. Now, it wasn't necessarily an easy ride. The workout called for low zone 3, and my zone 3 power starts around 240, so I set out with a mission to try and average as close to 240 or a little bit more as I could. Happy to say that normalized power output for the entire ride, 60 miles, 240 on the dot. And that actually translated to a pretty fast overall ride. I mean, the overall speed average was 21.9 miles an hour. Definitely faster than the rides that I've been doing lately. And then if we take that last 56 miles of it or so, let's see if we can get that last 56 miles. 56 miles, 232.12, 56 miles. That's a half Ironman split. Average power 239, which is right at that zone 3, high zone 2. A heart rate average was actually in zone 1. So, I'm very, very happy that I was able to maintain that power output with my heart rate under control like that. A 232, 56 mile split on a random training day. It's fantastic. So I'm really happy with how that ride went. I'm happy I was able to just barely get that average power where I wanted it. And the resulting speed was pretty fun, 22.1 mile per hour for the last 56. And that even includes a really slow section through this little town. I didn't, I didn't stop my bike computer just so I could ride through the town. I left it on, feeling good about that. Like if I didn't have that little section through town, that'd be a sub 230, 56 mile split, no problem. Which I've only done like one or two other times in my life, and once was during a race in Ironman 70.3 Texas in Galveston. So great bike ride. Onto the run, 10K transition run. This has got to be like the 10th or 12th 10K off the bike that I've done in this training block. Traditionally, in the last 12 years of my training life, I haven't been doing a lot of runs off the bike more than, say, 30 minutes or so. So to run 6.2 miles, around 50 minutes, to do that really regularly has really helped me just feel confident in my endurance running off the bike. So I'm basically doing a quarter of the full distance that I'm going to have to do, which is not an insignificant amount. I mean, getting through 6.2 miles and telling yourself I just got to do this, 3 more times, that's pretty manageable, I think. I did work a little harder on the bike than I have been. So yes, the run did feel a little bit more challenging. My heart rate was a little bit higher. However, I was able to hit that Ironman target race pace, 750, 755, what I'm shooting for, and get that run done. So yes, last week's training was great. Compared to the previous week of training, which I think was my hardest week, this last week was definitely a step in the direction of I felt more on top of it. I didn't feel too banged up. And again, I really think that this rest day on Tuesday was key. So if you're training for something like this and you're ever wondering whether or not you need to take a day off, go for it. Take the day. I definitely think you should do it. Now, speaking of days off, looking at this week's training, I have another off day. This is really wild. I didn't look far enough ahead in my plan. If I had looked further ahead, I might have seen this off day and convinced myself that I didn't need to take one last week. I don't know. I try not to look too far ahead. Oftentimes, the first time I'm seeing my training for the week is when I'm sitting down to do this video. And the big reason why I do that is I don't really like to spend any time worrying or thinking about a workout I'm going to have to do 3 weeks down the line. And I will. If I see something on my plan 3 weeks in the future that I am, concerned about or, not sure about, it's going to be in my head the entire time. And I just don't want to do it. So I kind of keep the blinders on. I just sort of take it 1 week at a time. Today, off day, fantastic. I saw my coach after the ride yesterday. He's like, you got an off day tomorrow. Go chill out. I was like, wow, this is great. 2 rest days within a week? What is going on? But again, I think that's just, I feel like I've gotten so much good training done in the last 18 weeks that I'm not super worried about taking these days and letting my body recover a little bit. It feels like the right move right now. So again, off day today. I'm going to go do some yoga later, but that, that's pretty low impact, and that's really, good for recovery too. Tomorrow I have a 1 hour easy run after a 1 hour 30-minute bike ride. So 90-minute ride, probably going to do that here on the trainer. And then we're going to roll out for an hour easy on Tuesday, tomorrow, after that bike ride. In preparation for the next day, which is going to be, again, I've mentioned it several times here. I'm not super comfortable running longer than about 12, 13, 15 miles or so. I was successful in my last attempt at a 20-mile run that I did a few weeks ago. It was really tough for me, but got one more. On Wednesday, I'm going to do another long 20-mile run. Instead of this 3 by 25-minute Ironman pace, instead of that, I'm going to target easy pace for the entire run. So no intervals, just 20 miles on the road. And I am optimistic that that run will go well. However, I can't help but be a little anxious about it because again, it's outside my comfort zone. The last one went well, so hopefully this one will go well as well. So long run on Wednesday. On Thursday, I have a interval ride here for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Looks like some mostly zone 3 work, but there's a little bit of zone 4 stuff in there as well. So like 12-minute zone 3 and then 3-minute zone 4, and then some recovery 4-minute zone 2. That should be fun. We'll see how that goes. The day after a 20-mile run, I'm not quite sure about that, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. On Friday, I am going to swim 2.4 miles, 4,224 yards. 90% sure I'm going to go do that in the pool again. Fortunately, I have a very high comfort level in open water environments. All of the racing that I did for the first 10 years of my triathlon life, all was done open water swimming in the ocean, actually in Hawaii. So I have a lot of experience swimming in open water. I actually enjoy it. I don't really get too stressed about it. I don't really feel like I need to go and force myself to get into open water scenarios to prepare myself for Ironman Texas. I'll go to the pool most likely on Friday just to make things a little bit easier logistically. Also, it's better just like safety wise, who knows, right? If I'm out in the middle of the lake all by myself, there's no lifeguards out there. It just doesn't feel right, It just feels a little unnecessarily risky. So I will likely do that swim in the pool just to kind of mitigate that risk. On Saturday, I have my final race rehearsal. We are looking at 90 miles on the bike at race pace, and that is going to be it. 90 miles at race pace. I think I originally had a run to do on this as well, but after talking to my coach, he would rather me do this 20-mile run on Wednesday and skip a run on Saturday than try and just focus on a brick run. He really wants me to do these long runs. He thinks that, and he's right, I need to sort of address that sort of concern, lack of comfort that I have with the longer distances. So just that long run next week to worry about, and I think that's really just the only run. I have an easy run on Tuesday and then the long run on Wednesday. Should be able to recover nicely. And then Sunday, Ironman 70.3 Texas is going down in Galveston. I will likely be down there to cheer on our friends and training partners that are getting ready for that race. They're going to go race down there. And it's always fun to go and support people out on the course. So I think that's it. That's everything, Again, really happy to be where I am right now. Getting these long training sessions done. Definitely the focus this week is going to be on that long run on Wednesday. I feel like, that's going to be a challenge for me, much more so than another 90-mile ride. I feel like at this point, 90 miles on the road, it's not going to be easy, but got it in the bag. I feel like, nothing to worry about there. So thank you for tuning in. As usual, had a little bit extra to talk about today with the DEXA scan stuff up front, but I did think it was interesting. 26 pounds is not a small amount. That's pretty considerable. 25-pound dumbbell that I'm carrying around with me now compared to the last time I was getting ready for an Ironman race. But again, I'm confident that this extra mass will sustain me, get me through the day. And we'll just have to wait and see. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week, and have a good one. Take care. Thank you. Bye.